Beautiful. So we want one asana from you or one tip, and we will do it all together at some, because we are talking of mind, body, soul being right, and we can be experiential. We just don't want to do a discussion. At some stage we will be experiential. I'll bring you in, but you touched upon the aspects that online and COVID has given you an opportunity to impact more lives. That's the message I get. I want to bring in Swamiji. Swamiji, you've impacted many lives. I've been calling Jwalant. He doesn't pick up my call. He calls me in 5-6 hours saying, I was doing an online session. So tell us, what's been your experience and what can we do to spread positivity?
This is the best time to bring positivity in, because now we are in a space where we can be receptive, open, and listen to these ideas. Otherwise, we are always somewhere else, running around. We are not really with us. Now, being in the lockdown creates a space where we become open to new ideas. And I am expecting that after this lockdown, people will have a fresh beginning of their life. We have to see how we have been, these are the moments that we can see how we have been living an unconscious mechanical life. So suddenly we are thrown back on ourselves to see within what we have got. And when we are in isolation, the first feeling that we have is of fear, because we are always engaged out there somewhere, not being with ourselves. And spirituality basically means being with yourself in harmony.
Being one with yourself.
Being one with yourself, being in harmony with yourself. Somebody asked a Zen master, what is the greatest miracle in the world? And he says, I sit here all by myself.
Yes.
Beautiful. I think it's more true in COVID times.
People have.
Dare I say, out of affection, you have a very rich voice. It is very impactful. If I listen to you with eyes closed, you can get me to do anything.
And listening itself is a meditation. Because when you really listen, your thoughts stop. Then you are not analyzing if you are really listening. That's what Gautam Buddha says, Samyak Shravan, the right listening. And being in the moment, suddenly your thoughts stop and you are in the present moment. And it is my experience. I have been traveling around the world facilitating meditation camps, and people come with all the noises in their head. First of all, we have to teach them how to be attentive and listening. Being in the present moment, discontinuous with the past, and not imagining about the future. So being in the present moment is the essence of meditation.
Thank you.
This lockdown has created that space now. And this is my first experience or experiment with the online. I have not done any camp, any webinar before online. So I'm happy that you gave me this opportunity to experiment.
God gives opportunities. We are human beings. But it's with gratitude to you for your opening comment. And you're right. There is positivity in these times because we are introspecting. We're going within ourselves. We are one with ourselves. And we have time for ourselves. So hopefully better listening leads to better relationships, leads to better decisions. I can say it about myself. I was always busy running. I think the first time when I'm so focused, And, I'm mostly in the now. I can't say I'm always in the now, but I'm mostly in the now. So I'm fully with you on that. I want to bring Rachna. Rachna, you heard Ira about yoga. You heard Swamiji about mindfulness and meditation. And Swamiji will come back to you about a trick that you can, and we'll get experiential. Rachna, nutrition is very important. We are all inside. Physical activity has gone down, and we know that food does create a lot of issues. So, give us your opening remarks about your story, how you ended uh, how you ended up becoming a nutritional therapist and a healer, and tell us the role nutrition plays in our well-being.
Thank you, Anurag. About 14 years ago, I was struck with rheumatoid arthritis, which is an incurable condition in medical science. All autoimmune conditions are incurable. My future, as the prognosis given by my rheumatologist, was that I would be bedridden and deformed and have an early death because of multiple organ failure due to side effects of toxic medications. I was on chemo drugs, immunosuppressants, and steroids. At that time, I was heading business development for a large Fortune 50 consumer finance company. And, typically my entire rosy corporate career came crashing down. Um Went through a few unfortunate incidents, experiences at the hospital, which led me to be bedridden. And I finally had to shake myself out, saying that I'm not going to live like this. So I stood up and I said, forget it. What is the worst case? The worst case has already been pronounced to me, saying that you're going to be, deformed and bedridden. So I literally, it was pretty foolhardy. I literally threw away my medications and started finding a path for with nutrition. And not just physical nutrition. Holistic nutrition is 50% physical nutrition and 50% emotional nutrition. um, our esteemed experts over here have also pointed the same thing out. Just eating right and not fixing what's in your head is not going to work. Just fixing what's in your head and eating the wrong foods is not going to work. So I arrived at that balance through a hit and try, with experimenting with myself, and I was driven by my pain. 12 years ago, it took me about 8 months to get disease free clinically. My reports were back to normal, symptoms were fine. And 12 years ago, I started my practice as a nutritional therapist, WHO certified in malnutrition for infants and children, got certified as a cancer coach. But even then, I realized that I couldn't do it alone, because I was on a bit of a mission to help people like me. So I created an online platform. Everybody today is talking about moving work online. I've been doing it for 12 years. But what I have seen work so beautifully now is an online platform that I've created, which is called the Restore Community. We all work like a community. I'm basically certifying coaches across the world, across 27 countries, with my holistic health coach certification program to help people with lifestyle conditions, autoimmune conditions, cancer. And this course is also internationally accredited and certified now. So you become an international practitioner with this course. What has happened with the lockdown is that a larger number of people have signed up for this, and there is nothing more empowering than giving someone the knowledge and expertise to not only help themselves with their physical and emotional health, but also help their loved ones, their family, and people at large, and a community at large. So that's where I am. I feel there is a
And I
huge.
want to hear some stories which I personally know of. I would come back to them, and I want to bring at this point Antino and Harini. Antino, you know, we talked on Sunday about you transforming people, you transforming yourself using your own installation. Harini told us the story. Tell us your secret of doing that. How do you do that? Uh, Tell us how COVID has helped you become more positive and impact more people. Antino and Harini from Chennai.
Okay, so the backstory of how I have been applying our own methods is Anurag, you've always heard me say that no matter where you are, there's always another level you can evolve to. And sometimes the opportunity hits you and you may feel you're not ready. But then when you take a leap of faith, you find yourself flying high. Once in my garden, when I was walking, I saw this baby eagle that had fallen down. And the crows were kind of about to vulture on it. They were going to kill the eagle. And I got a forest team involved, and we took care of that baby eagle. The forest department said that the eagle is going to stay with me for 10 days because it can't fly until 10 days are over. And I was feeding it on the third day, and I remember, it was jumping and it would flap its wings and it would fall down and hit the ground. And we were continuing to feed. And as I was feeding, there was a crow that came from nowhere. It came like in full force, and it was about to hit that eagle, and the eagle jumped. And I watched it, and it did the same action this time. It flapped its wings. But this time, as the crow was chasing it, the eagle took flight right in front of my eyes. The eagle that was supposed to cannot have flown until 10 days. 7 days early, it took off flight. And I saw the crow chase it into the sky, and the eagle went higher than where the crow could go. So in my life, when I got a request from a guy called Funny Kumar, and he said that his family wrote to me saying that he's paralyzed, and doctors in America have said he can never move anything below his shoulders. They've sent him back on an air ambulance to India. And he wrote to me saying, Anno, can you help? I thought maybe I can't help him, but there must be somebody in the world who can. And I started exploring. And then when John Grinder and I were interacting online, because I wrote
John Grinder is the founder of NLP,
founder of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, as well as founder of New Code NLP. So I wrote to a lot of people, a lot of established people online. And John responded saying, I might be interested in mentoring you if you will work with him yourself. And at that moment, I'm a chief technology officer, 23, 24-year-old. I have some exposure to NLP. I help people quit smoking and sleep, but helping someone overcome paralysis just felt out of my league. But I saw him and I said, I have to do this. I took that leap of faith, and I can't tell you how much of a personal transformational journey I had to go through in those 6 months in order to finally help Funny Kumar get his full-time job and fly back to the US. So I think this is an example of things that keeps happening in our life again and again, where an opportunity knocks in and it's just above your league. But with the right guidance, with the right attitude, when you take on it, it kind of compresses time. Like what you would take 5-6 years to learn, maybe you learn it in 6 months.
Beautiful. We'll come back. Harini, we spoke on Sunday, and you told me the story. I asked you, how are you applying what you preach? And you told me Antano's story. Tell us that story. I want all our viewers to know that story.
Of how I met him and how I got into doing what I'm doing.
Yes, and you told about his singing. You talked to me about his singing.
So he told you he was a chief technology officer in a company, right? Now, I was a playback singer. I still sing, but back then was like my peak. I was singing for all of the music directors like A.R. Rahman, Ilaiyaraaja, Haris Jayaraj. And I was also working part-time because coming from a middle-class family, my parents were really scared of letting me sing full-time. So they said, you need to have a backup. And so I was working in the organization as an intern where he joined in as a CTO. And I'm barely about 2-3 years younger than him. I'm like, how somebody 2-3 years older than me actually holding a CXO position in the company.
And Harini, louder voice. Audience is saying your voice is low. So be a Punjabi. I know you're not a Punjabi. Be loud.
So I was thinking, how somebody 2-3 years older than me holding a stake in the company, that's really promising, that's really flourishing. How is he like the CXO and how am I like an intern here? Like, how did he get here? And I was really curious to know his backstory. And by then he'd already published a few books in technology. And even when I went to the UK, I found his books in the stores. So we got talking and I invited him to one of my concerts. And out there, when he So he saw that I was, looking at his lyrics book, and I would have fun. I would sing, I'd interact, I'd have like a man time with the audience, but I'd have this lyric stand planted right in front of me. And at the end of the concert, he's like, don't you know the lyrics to your songs and the other songs? Why have you planted that lyrics book? And I was surprised to get that question from him, because come on, I've seen every legend use the lyrics books. I'm like, what's wrong in that? But he's like, if I could help you remember lyrics in a way that you would never need that lyric stand ever again, would you be interested in a change like that?
Yeah, Antino says a lot of things which I tell him, really? Antino, is it possible? Yes.
So I thought that was a really crazy statement to have made, but I was like, let's give it a shot anyway. And I sat with him for about 45 minutes or an hour. I don't remember that day. But the next day, in one of the largest halls in Chennai, it's called the Music Academy. It's one of the biggest auditoriums there. There was a concert show, and I was part of it, and I was the only singer in that entire setup. There were beatboxers and a lot of stuff, and I just about learned about 10 new songs for that show, and different languages. I didn't remember a word, so I knew I needed the lyrics book. But after he worked with me that day, I went back and I learned all of those songs like I would do. And the next day was time. I was backstage, I was ready, and then they called my name. I went on stage and I forgot my lyric stand backstage. I was like, I'm finished. Because after he did what he did, I felt good. I didn't know what to expect. But that was the first day where, I'd anyway left my lyric stand. The music had started playing. I couldn't run back and go get my lyrics again. But I went through that first song, didn't forget a letter. Like, I remembered every word, and I just enjoyed myself so much. And I went through the rest of the 10 songs that day, and I had the time of my life. It was so liberating, and it felt for like the first time what probably I was holding a crutch and I didn't even know I was holding it. And what is it like to walk and run and fly and realize that you don't need it. And when I went back and asked Antano, what did you do and how did I manage to remember? That's never ever happened for a song that I've learned newly. We all remember the national anthem. We all remember Happy Birthday. We all remember songs we learned, like for like ages. You remember that. But for me to learn a song of a different language in like less than 3 days and remember it completely and not be nervous was quite a thing, but 10, 15 years ago. And everybody still asks him, so how did you do that? How did you do that? But for me, what's more...
And now you know, how did he do that? How do you guys... I want to come back to it. I want to bring Junior. I want to hear that story of what has happened to him in COVID for the benefit of a lot. So yeah. I'll come back to you. These are introductory remarks. Junior, I've seen your transformation. I've seen your multifaceted pursuits. And you were always fit, but now you're super duper fit. In fact, last time we were having a conversation, me and Kavi, Mr. Kavi Bhandari is our well-being lead. Can we have Kavi on the screen? Kavi, I hope he's not gone to sleep. Meditation, you put him into trance. Tanvi, we can have Kavi on the screen.
He is there. He's on mute. Kavi, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So me and Kavi were having a conversation with Junior, and he said, I actually am looking to gain weight. I've lost so much weight. I'm so fit that I'm looking to get some buff. So Junior, tell us your story and tell us how you transform lives. Give us examples.
So mine is again a very personal story. I come from a family full of diabetes, and a lot of my dad, my mom, my chacha, my tau, my masi, everybody has diabetes. And
ये लखनऊ से Jwalant ji. He's from ये लखनऊ से है.
हमारी हिंदी बहुत अच्छी है.
गुप्ता जी लखनऊ से हैं.
Good to know about that. Yeah.
So Jwalant ji भी लखनऊ से है, इसलिए मैं आपको बता.
Good, Jwalant ji. And for everybody I'm meeting here, I would love to stay connected in these transformative times for what we are experiencing. Health and wellness is the way of the future. I think a lot of millions of people have realized how important it is. So in my case, I came across the notion that diabetes can be reversed. It was a book and it didn't make sense. Nobody had told my parents that diabetes is reversible. So eventually, after reading dozens of books over many, many years, I decided to take the plunge and implement a diabetes reversal program in India. My mother is off insulin now. My dad's insulin is down by 90%. And I've gotten a lot of other people off insulin in that time and reduced their medication significantly, reduced thyroid, reversed fatty liver, healed chronic kidney disease. And it's all through food. We don't need medications. So that's what I do. That's my passion. And coming back to coronavirus, one of the things is it's spreading. It's spreading like madness. In every 10 days, 15 days, there's a million new people. And there's no cure as we know it. But the fact is that 80% of people who get COVID are non-symptomatic. And so what I feel our goal should be is how do we become one of those 80% who don't even realize that they had COVID? So, in Spain today, I read there was a 113-year-old woman who recovered from coronavirus. So I think there's a lot to it. Like Rachna was talking, there's an autoimmune response. There's a lot of inflammation that can happen in the body. Stress kind of destroys everything. And poor nutrition definitely affects the body's ability to fight back infections. There's also the gut and the microbiome, and that relates to inflammation, that relates to taking pressure off your immune system. So there is a lot that food can do in today's day and age that we can do in our own kitchen. And together with all the other experts on the panel, I think we can really make a decided move that the people listening here are going to be in the 80% of the sufferers that don't get it or are non-symptomatic.
I want some of your stories that I personally know. And, I must say the 2 months, Rachna told me to eat a certain food and I lost 17 kgs in less than 3 months just by sleeping enough, by walking a little bit, and 90% doing the things that she told me in nutrition. Similarly, Junior, from in November, December, Jan, I think for 3 months I took his food and I lost about 7 kgs, nothing. And the food was delicious. So he was not only giving advice, he was fulfilling the promise of delivering. It was clinical. Every day at a certain time, the food would arrive, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Very well done. So, all these experts who are here have actually practiced what they preach and they've made an impact. Junior, we'll come back to you and hear those stories. Avinash, Anand Singh, you're the youngest, so hence I get you last. So, young are the wisest people. We should get them. And they're the most uninhibited and honest and earnest. So, Junior, you're a coach. You help people transform themselves into a better version of yourselves. Tell us about your journey and the impact you're making. Give us some peeks on how I could do it. How all of us, if we wanted to transform ourselves, we could do it. Mr. Avinash Anand Singh from Pune.
Yes. So, Dada, thank you so much for having me here. My work started 10 years back when I was in my post-graduation. And I realized that we all talked about change and transformation, and all the books talked about this, but there's no clear-cut path of how do we reach this transformation. And for me, that led me to a journey of self-exploration. I come from an education background which was not very high on marks. So for me, it was a label I had to carry that you're an average person. And only I think later on I realized that the entire education system is flawed because the entire way of evaluation is not the right way of evaluation. We're not measuring the gift people have got. So for me, it was a journey of first working on myself to change my own labels. And that opened me to the world of subconscious, that how our patterns of behavior, our beliefs, our thoughts, our emotions creates who we are as a person. So 2014-15 is when I started my own company called Blue Dot Transform Consulting. And the blue dot, the word comes from the earth, the famous Carl Sagan speech when he pointed the Voyager to the earth. And that's how the name was coined. So I started this company, and my objective was that can I bring in science, especially the area of neuroscience, quantum physics, positive psychology, epigenetics, to connect with the ancient wisdom and all the great masters, what they have taught about, right from Osho, right from Paramahansa Yogananda, teachers like Lord Christ, irrespective of religion, but what a spiritual teachers since ages have talked about. So currently what as a work we do is, we say to the people that, look, who you are right now is not the true self. What you believe you are is a conditioned self, and you operate from that conditioned self. So we say, can you first understand what is your true self? That is the consciousness, right? Can you operate, can you establish yourself in knowing who you are, and then from that self, operate in this life? So when you come out from the space of consciousness, you understand there is a brain. And this brain is programmed from childhood. You have been through programming and conditioning and all kinds of belief you have been through. Now with the science like neuroplasticity, we understand the brain is a programmable device. You can change the programs, you can unwire and rewire it completely. Then once we understand the space of consciousness and the brain, then it's up to us that what kind of thoughts and emotions we choose to create every day. Most people, they're living a reactive life wherein they're not even aware of what kind of unconscious thoughts and emotions they are creating for themselves. So until unless, and what right Swami Chaitanya ji mentioned in the start, that can we be first present in this present moment? Can we establish ourselves in this generous present moment? And from that space, look at the infinite possibilities the world holds for ourselves, the quantum field we say about, right? And from that space, can we start choosing what kind of thoughts and emotions you want to create, which correlates to your version of yourself, the infinite version of you, which you can fathom of completely, right? And that's one thing what we like about Anurag sir for you is, I always have seen you in such a high energy, right? And I believe that one quality of people who are in that state of success, and not just in the terms of money or achievements, but in terms of fulfillment and
losing air, in terms of losing air,
in terms of contentment as well. I believe that you have to come out of consciousness, being in the present moment, and take a charge of your life. Start consciously creating your thoughts, your emotions, and then there is a body and the brain to be programmed. You have to take care of the programming properly, and then connect to the infinite intelligence operating this world, right? Which is the infinite consciousnness. So that's the work I do currently. Different sessions we do, a lot of things online we carry out. This is like online coaching as well, aspects of financial healing, subconscious reprogramming, and many, many areas of work. Yes, that's what I do currently as of now.
Fantastic, Avinash. We'll come back to you. And high energy comes from good sleep. In my case, I have only one weapon, which is good quality sleep. And you know, I think if you just did your sleep right, everything else falls in place. And I would Jwalant, you know, as a co-collaborator, as a co-moderator, as a co-chair, why don't you take it forward? And you know, you have a panel of experts to you, and you are an expert too in this domain. I'm a seeker. I'm a student.
It is such a pleasure to hear everyone, and to today get a lot of wisdom actually from here. But what I see, there are 3 or 4 questions which are lined up by the
Audience,
participants and audience here. So there are relevant questions. So without wasting time, I will rather prefer to take one by one so that they don't get unattended. And this is one from Rashri Deo. And she's asking that during meditation, thoughts are always flowing like the waves of a sea. How to respond to thoughts? I'm sure, I mean, we have so many experts here, but
Swamiji, I think Swamiji is the best person.
Swamiji to take it first. Yeah.
Yes, this is with everybody. When you sit in meditation, suddenly thousands of thoughts start coming. You realize it. Before you were okay. Now suddenly when you are sitting in meditation, so many thoughts crowding your mind. वो कहते हैं ना, मैं ख्याल हूँ किसी और का, मुझे सोचता कोई और है. Continuously all kinds of thoughts which are uninvited guests, they start hovering around you, within you, and we are also within us crowd, not one individual. One moment we are this, another moment we are that, and as Avinash Anand was saying, that we are a conditioned self, not true self. True self is only of that person who's integrated and just one within. So the question is how to deal with these thoughts that are bothering us all the time. First of all, Don't get entangled with the thoughts. Disidentify with your thoughts. They are not you. They are coming from somewhere, uninvited. So be in passive alertness, not interfering, not fighting, just witnessing. And witnessing means then you are not choosing this is a good thought, this is a bad thought, this is this, this is that. You are not analyzing them, you're simply watching, and watching with passive alertness. Slowly, as the alertness increases inside, the thoughts start disappearing. The more conscious you are, the less thoughts you have. And it requires lots of patience. Suddenly, when you are attacked with thoughts, you want to run away from it. You want to open your eyes. You want to engage yourself in something. You become occupied, and this is not the way. Just sit patiently and let the thoughts come, and you simply watch. Slowly, slowly, you settle in your watchfulness, and thoughts start disappearing, evaporating. But we will do a certain small experiment afterwards in the third session, that how you can do it. Maybe 5 minutes of practical experience.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Right.
And Ira, if you're here, because yoga also lets you kind of transcend. So what are your comments on this if you're here?
Transcending. Yes, you can, by disidentifying with your body, feeling that you are not the body. You are in the body, but you are not the body. Thoughts are there, you are not the thoughts. You are not the mind. Disidentifying yourself as consciousness. You are the watcher. And gently transcending your emotions, your feelings, and finally coming to the fourth stage of Turiya, which is in Upanishads called Turiya.
Fifth eye, the third eye opening.
No, not third eye. First, moving from your body into your being, disidentifying with your body, disidentifying with your thoughts, disidentifying with your emotions and feelings, and settling in your consciousness. That is transcendental. You are not your thoughts, you are not your body, you are not your feelings. They are layers upon you. So when you realize this within yourself, you simply become pure consciousness, pure awareness.
Turiya is pure consciousness.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay. And,
thank you for bringing this thought in. Jwalant, more questions?
Right. I think Avinash wants to add something in it. Do you want to add, Avinash?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So a couple of points here. Now, and this is a normal scenario, people sit in meditation and suddenly there is a lot of thoughts coming in. One reason is because imagine you are in a house and the house is locked for so many months and years and you never open the house. And suddenly you open the house, you have all kind of insects, cockroaches, lizards starts coming.
Cobwebs, you have cobwebs.
Exactly. So the very fact you have not visited the mind, your consciousness is always focused outward. You have not gone within. So once you start going within, you have all these guys trying to express themselves. Number one. Number two is the very fact when the thought comes, the very fact of observing the thought is the meditation. That is the work. When you're sitting for meditation, you're not trying to achieve something, go somewhere. When Patanjali mentions about dharana and dhyan, the awareness and the concentration part, it is about that when the thought comes in, can you be a detached observer of that thought? That I have a thought, I am not the thought. I am the consciousness in which the thought is arising. And the moment you create the detachment, what Swamiji said right now, I think the thought as a cloud just simply drifts away. So I think the work is the process of understanding the thoughts are coming and it's going. And the moment you establish yourself in that awareness, I think the meditation purpose is being achieved.
Yeah, thank you.
And,
Most of the questions are like Lali Sani is asking balance for bliss. There's Shravan Kumar D asking how to maintain happiness and a good mood when the situations are completely upside down. So, these are the kind of questions coming. I want to go to Junior. Junior, give us some practical tips on nutrition. Of course, everybody's body is different. Everybody's life is at a different stage and it is very personal. Nutrition is very, very personal. But give us some thumb rules.
So, I think we should be focusing on coronavirus right now, and everybody wants better immunity. So, the biggest thing that we have here in India is amla. Amla is loaded with vitamin C. And I suggest to everybody to make the effort to juice these vegetables and fruits every day, so that you are every day having this nutritional benefit. So we've been juicing for 10 years, but even if you look at the lockdown of 5 weeks, it really adds up to your micronutrients that you get. So the things that I would suggest would be amla. Lemon is also loaded in vitamin C. Carrots is very good for you, though not high in vitamin C, but I would add carrots to the list. Bell peppers, tomatoes. So these are 5 things that you can try and juice every day, and that will add to the micronutrients that your body should have in adequate amount. Another thing
and Neha Patel is asking you what if it doesn't suit you? Neha Patel is asking, what if amla doesn't suit you?
If the stomach goes upset, then one would have to take it offline to see what else one can do. But otherwise, if it's a taste issue, just suck it up. I make my kids have it. So start with less and then just increase the amount till about a little bit, like a small glass or half a small glass. Another thing right now that has come in the news, but it's zinc. We should also have zinc in our body because zinc affects the ability of a virus to reproduce. And there's also zinc supplements, but I believe in everything that is natural. So pumpkin seeds, we have pumpkin seeds available in the market, but most of us don't eat pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, cashews, chia seeds, flax seeds. Now we've all heard of these seeds, but if we can make a habit, so for example, right now I was snacking on almonds. I keep almonds, I keep walnuts, I keep pistachios, I keep cashews. I'm always munching on seeds and nuts. Seeds are with salads. So to make sure that you are having your nuts and seeds every day, which are really good for the heart, they reduce inflammation, as Rachna would attest to. Taking care of your inflammation, having haldi with water and black pepper every evening. It's a good way to end the night. Reduces all your inflammation in your body, and one of the strongest natural medicines out there. And the final thing, which I would say is, I could go on and on, but is to have probiotics. So I don't mean the Yakult and stuff, but if most people can find a way to make kanji. So even if we start with kanji, that is a good way because a lot of us have very compromised guts from eating processed food, junk food, traveling. So if we can just restore the gut, all that immune system which was focusing on your gut can now focus on the respiratory system, which is where you want it to be energized. So I would say getting some probiotics, getting some nuts and seeds, getting some of these high vitamin C vegetables in your diet, raw form, add salads if you can. Again, it's all micronutrient loading. And then I want to talk to Swamijis and say, meditate. Stress affects everything. Stress can even make you put on belly fat. But if you can reduce your stress, everything in your body will work better. And eat all of these things. I've also been staying in the sun until the heat picked up. I've been staying in the sun.
Yeah, vitamin D. All Indians and most human beings have deficiency of vitamin D.
Yeah. So
I think that's good for starters. We'll guess.
I used to take this every...
I hope you're not getting money to promote them. No, I'm kidding. I know you're not.
So I used to take a lot of these vitamin D pills, but lately I've been taking a lot of natural vitamin D. And vitamin D is an immune modulator. It kind of coordinates your whole immune system. So vitamin C, vitamin D, reduce your stress, increase your zinc, decrease...
And zinc is increased by what foods?
It is your pumpkin seeds, your cashews, your chia seeds, your flax seeds. Seeds have zinc. I'm sure a lot of vegetables do. But, I think we should add all the food groups that we typically don't tend to have. And
beautiful. We'll come back to you. Yeah. Rachna, you heard Junior. You're again a student of this science and an art, and you've been doing this for 12 years. Please add to what Junior said. And if you agree with something, reinforce that. If you don't agree with something, give us some thumb rule to stay healthier through nutrition.
Thank you, Anurag. I'd just like to step back right now and elaborate on what Swamiji said. Beautifully put in terms of meditation. Not only great for immunity, but also has clinically been shown to lengthen telomeres. So it repairs the DNA. Just 3 weeks of meditation can do that. But a lot of people can't just sit and start meditating. I think Rajshri asked a very, very pertinent question. Rajshri is one of my partner coaches, and I told you I had sent out the link, so it's really nice that some of them are here. And so, for people who have not yet been able to sit down and meditate, there are certain practices and practical tips that I would like to give. There are 3 steps to meditation. Step 1 is that the brain and mind both are wild animals. You have to first tame them with certain physical nutrition as a first step when they are restless. And the best things that can tame them are unsaturated raw fats, with in combination with lightly cooked vegetables. So unsaturated raw fats would be like what Junior said. Nuts and seeds have a lot of them. Flaxseed oil has a lot of them. Fish oil, if you can take fish oil. Extra virgin olive oil, which is for me at the top of it. Between fish oil and extra virgin olive oil and vitamin E as a combination has been clinically shown to be better than antidepressants in helping people with anxiety disorders. The first thing is fix your physical nutrition. Within 2 weeks of fixing your physical nutrition, and I'm talking from experience of treating thousands of cases now across the world, and some of these cases were very, very specific chronic anxiety cases who were on medication for decades. So fix the physical nutrition. Within 2 weeks, your brain activity starts calming down. At that stage, introduce the cooling pranayams. Now, there are cooling pranayams that can be done like Shithli, like Anulom Vilom. These 2 pranayams will actually start bringing what we call sthirta in the brain, and they start calming. And I'm not talking about 10 counts, 20 counts. I'm saying 15 minutes Anulom Vilom, 5 minutes of Shithli, and then the last of it being Brahmari to start re-nourishing and remapping the brain neurons. Another 2 weeks of doing that. After 4 weeks is when you are ready, because 70% of your restless activity in the brain has started dying out. Then that 30% to conquer with the wonderful tips that
easier.
Is so much easier. And for somebody like you or somebody very, very senior in the corporate sector, there's so many of them are my patients. It is very difficult to tell them that you come out of the Zoom and you sit down and do meditation for 20 minutes and then go back to the Zoom.
But in fact, we are spending much more screen time.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've told me not to keep my phone in the night. By the way, Junior, for the last 6 years, I every morning have haldi in water. I haven't had milk in 6 years. I only do almond milk. So, these are things she's put me onto, and it's become part of my lifestyle. A lot of things I can do better, and I'm striving to do that. And some of the things you've told me, I'm trying to do those. But, tell us about milk. Tell us a little bit about milk. Because as kids, we are told we need milk, we need milk. We tell it to our children. So tell us a little bit about dairy.
Whether it is the milk from a regular, animal, cow, buffalo, whichever, which has been injected with hormones, or it is organic milk. A lot of people say, okay, we have organic milk and that's healthy. The hormones of that cow or mother are going into that milk because that milk is for the baby, for the calf. And those hormones create havoc more with women than with men. Milk has been linked to hormonal cancers in women in many, many clinical studies. I've quoted it in my book on cancer as well. And it's extremely inflammatory. Now, milk for a 12-year-old child and how they digest based on the probiotics, natural bacteria present in a 12-year-old child versus a 30-year-old female are totally different. So we need milk in smaller quantities. Children need it when we are growing. We don't need milk as adults, and there are many other sources of calcium: nuts and seeds, eggs, spinach. There are many, many sources of calcium that are already available in a bioavailable form. We all talked about vitamin D. Vitamin D is an oil soluble vitamin. Why is the entire world deficit in vitamin D? However much you are in the sun, is because our good unsaturated fats consumption is very poor. So how will the vitamin D get absorbed? Similar with vitamin A, it's an oil soluble vitamin. Vitamin A and C, and wonderfully put by Junior, immune boosting vitamins have shown again, like meditation, to clinically repair. So these are the things that I'd like to add to the esteemed speakers over here on,
Yeah, Ira, I want to get you in. There is a connection between mind, body, soul. And, I would broadly say that Avinash and Antano and Harini represent the soul. Swamiji represents the body, and you represent the body because you teach yoga. Yoga is a lot about mind. And so tell us, some tips about yoga that busy people can do. How can you reduce your screen time? So tell us yoga for busy people, if I can put it that way. Ira?
Yes. Can you hear me, Anurag?
Yes, very much.
So I just want to make sure. So, I just want to say that there are a few basic techniques in yoga that everyone should.
Little louder. Last time you were a little louder.
I was saying there's some basic yoga techniques that I think that everyone should do. No matter how busy you are, everyone can take out 10 minutes a day. Rachna already pointed out a few pranayams, so I'm not going to repeat those for the interest of the group of all of our viewers. But even if you do just 10 minutes of pranayam a day, 5 minutes and 5 minutes of Anulom Viloma Kapal Bhati, which is a cleansing kriya, that's enough. And for an all-round exercise, Anurag, Surya Namaskars are amazing. Surya Namaskars are something, just 6 rounds of Surya Namaskars on a daily basis. It's about creating the habit. If you get into the habit of waking up every morning and you attach it to another good habit, say I'm brushing my teeth, and as soon as I'm going to finish brushing my teeth, I'm going to get on to the floor next to my bed and I'm going to do 10 minutes of Surya Namaskar. I promise you, this can change your health around. You don't even need to get into a full yoga class, yoga asanas. Just do 10 minutes of breathing, 5 minutes of sun salutations, 15 minutes everyone can take out in their day. 15 minutes is 15-20 minutes so hum log aise Instagram mein nikal dete on a daily basis. If you check your phone, you'll see scrolling through social media, double of this time. So I really, really feel that people need to, just take out 10 minutes for yoga. Don't try to make it 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Take out 10 minutes to begin with, and a lot can change from 10 minutes. A lot can change in 10 minutes.
And Ira, give us a prediction for the future of the well-being industry. Tell us 1 or 2 trends. You already said that online has made the impact is bigger. More people are coming. They have the time. You have their attention now because of COVID. How do you maintain positivity? You haven't met anyone. You had a meaningful conversation like we did over coffee, So tell us one prediction for the future and one suggestion on how to be positive mentally. Why should we be more hopeful about the future than we are today?
So I think that COVID-19, the current situation that we're in, has given all of us an opportunity to pause and to reset and to think about our health and wellness in a very serious way. So this should be a time for everyone to pick up one good habit related to your health. Whether it's drinking haldi in the morning, like you do, whether it's introducing Surya Namaskars, whether it's I'm not going to have milk for 1 month because it's going to create inflammation in my body. So I think this is a time where everyone can pick up one good habit and stick to it and make it a habit during the lockdown. And make it a habit during the next 3 months. The other thing that I'm going to say is that if our bodies do not feel good, our mind will not feel good. It's a simple body-mind connection. It's very difficult to work on your mind if your body doesn't feel good. But if your body is feeling good and relaxed and happy and energetic and healthy, then your mind is in a place to get tuned into a different world. So a lot of the problems that we have start from our body. You know, it really starts from our body. If we can use that, if we can make our bodies feel good, if we really do a nice yoga class, you're all stretched out, you feel so good and positive afterwards. You go on a 20-minute jog and you come back and you feel so good afterwards. People like going to gym. Why? Because they feel so good after the gym. They're like, wow, I'm feeling so much better. You know, so really take care of your body, number one. If you eat something bad, it doesn't settle in your stomach, you can't think about anything else. All you can think about is that, man, that milk is churning in my stomach. You know, I feel like crap. And that's all you're going to be thinking about. But if you're having something really which is making it like some nice fresh mango, and if mango is good for you, you know, you feel so nice afterwards. You feel energized. You feel full of pranic energy. You feel good about yourself. So keep in mind, everyone, work on your mind. But before you work on your mind, create an environment in your body for your mind to be positive. And if your body and your stomach feels bad, there's very few chances that your mind is going to feel happy. So there is a body, mind, breath connection, but it begins really with the physical body. So that is the reason why, yes, you know, meditation, even pranayama is all good, but begin with your basic food and begin with your basic physical fitness, which is introducing some 15-20 minutes of yoga in your daily life. That's it. You know,
thank you, Ira. I think we'll interact with you again.
I'd just like to add to what Ira is saying. She's put it so well, the body-mind connection. Now, if you look at just the reaction of anxiety, how does the human body react to anxiety? Some people sweat. Some people have fluttering in their stomach. Some people have their chest closing. That's a physical body reaction. But what is anxiety? Anxiety is in your mind. So there is demonstration of anxiety being, you know, and in the positive affirmation way, meditation has the same effect as if you were sitting over here hungry and you would imagine a lovely chocolate ice cream in the fridge. The physical reaction would be saliva in your mind, in your mouth. So the body, mind, thoughts, everything is connected.
Absolutely. Thank you. I want to come to Antano and Harini. We haven't talked to them for a while. You know, Harini, you were telling Antano, tell us how you applied what you talked to me on Sunday. Whatever you profess, how do you practice what you preach? Tell us the story how you become a better singer. And give us the secrets on the way.
Okay. So, so Annurag, I think the challenge I had when I wanted to sing was that I would go out of pitch and I wouldn't know it.
And Harini, can you tell us how he would go out of pitch?
So he initially sent me a recording of his song. He sang the song Smile Boyzone. Smile and everlasting smile. But he sang it as smile and everlasting smile, smile. You know what? I can't even try.
He's better than me
because it was awful. This was 10 years ago. And he said, Harini, can you give me feedback? And I was like, how do I give him feedback without breaking his heart? Because for me, it was unfathomable how somebody can take a song like that and sing it like that and not know that it's not right. And that just got me to realize how I, you know, like it's pretty much taken for granted that when I go to a music class and when a teacher sings something, even if it's something that I'm not yet trained to do, somehow I'll be able to sing it. And when I sing it, I'll know when I've sung it right or not. But that was not something that Antano could do 10 years ago. And music schools would right royally, you know, reject students like that, where they just say, no, music is not for you, you're not musically gifted. But Antano took it on himself to change that, because no matter how much I sang, like if I sang, he would do, and he wouldn't know that he sung it wrong.
Yeah.
So, Antano, tell us what you did to yourself in the last 45, 50 days.
So Anurag, before I get there, I think I want to address a point over here about no amount of practice could have actually helped me overcome that limitation, because if you're practicing wrong, then you're going more away from.
You're in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You won't reach the destination.
Yeah. And so I have personally benefited from yoga and meditation right from a young age. And this is something you may not know about me, is when I was 8 years old, I was a national level chess player. I was top 10. And my chess teacher didn't teach me chess. He taught me meditation and yoga. And in my career, you know me as someone who does excellence installation technology, but there are a lot of people for whom I have personally taught meditation as well as yoga. And in fact, there was a man who had terrible problems, and as he was speaking, I stopped everything and I said, go check a doctor. I want you to tell me, do you have sleep apnea? And he went to the doctors. The doctor sent him back saying, no, he doesn't have sleep apnea. I said, no, the breathing indicates you do. Go get it tested again. He got an advanced test done and he came back and the report said he had sleep apnea. And that entire thing was fixed by just using breathing techniques. But what I've seen gone wrong with a lot of people, Anurag, is that a lot of people are motivated to try yoga. They're motivated to try meditation. They're motivated to try NLP. But when they do it by themselves, sometimes even when they do it with a coach or a mentor, if they're not doing it right, then it doesn't produce results. And if it doesn't produce results, people lose motivation. I've seen people do 15 minutes of simple yoga and transform like magic. And some people spend 2 hours and nothing works out. So I think one of the things we as people need to do is whatever we try to do, we have to know, are we doing it well? Are we doing it as per what will get us the result? And I think that is what happened with singing for me, is the diagnosis was important that, hey, I'm not hearing stuff the way other people hear. I'm not hearing pitch. And then I went through a neuro-linguistic programming journey. I went through installations myself to activate that capability. I mean, when someone is in a high pitch, when they're angry, I know they're angry. So which means my neurology knows it, but my brain isn't making that distinction. So the stuff that we do on people as neuro-linguistic programming, I went through, so I had to fix rhythm, I had to fix pitch. And one of the methods we use, Anurag, and I spoke about this on Sunday in the video call we had, in the 1-hour interview we did together, is called unconscious assimilation, where you become like a child and you activate your mirror neurons to learn from geniuses. I remember this was in Thailand and we had taken on a 15-day residential program, and Harini was singing and everybody was singing along with her. And for the first time in my life, I felt my body move in a particular rhythm. And I was like, after the workshop, I went and told Harini, you know what? All along I was learning how to put tal wrongly. It doesn't start from the hand, it starts from the body. And she looked at me and she said, what? How, like who doesn't know that? And I think that is the beauty of unconscious assimilation, is that when you activate that ability, you learn what you don't know you got to learn. And whether you
don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, but how do you learn what you don't know you don't know? That's by letting mirror neurons take over. And if you're learning meditation or yoga or anything, my recommendation for people would be, is you got to learn it from a space where you drop everything and you become open to becoming the other person. Because I don't know if I've not shared this with you, Anurag, but I've studied a lot of yoga training, and good yoga training has always done installations. The reason they tell yoga teachers students not to teach yoga is because yoga teachers know that yoga is not just about the procedure. It's not physiotherapy. It's not where you move your hands and legs in a particular way, but there is a fine integration between what is going on in the mind and the body. And yoga is always taught through installations. It's taught through storytelling. There is never a good yoga teacher I've seen share a particular posture movement without telling a story that that automatically gets the mind and the body aligned. So I think there's a big flaw in teaching, and that is not different with music too. There's a flaw in teaching.
And you know, I also want you to tell us how people place limitations on themselves and how installations help in thinking beyond those limitations, becoming who you want to be.
Yeah. So I think we spoke about how when Funny Kumar met me, he wanted help to at least explore, is it possible for him to move again? And I meet patients who are paralyzed, and every time someone knocks on a door, it's someone. It's a category of people I've never worked with in that type before. We work with people who have arthritis. We have worked with people who have autism. We've worked with top athletes who've been legends and suddenly can't perform anymore. But one of the things that I've always seen, Anurag, is that when the problem has just happened, they're trying to solve the problem. But 10 years later, when they meet me, and if they've heard about me like 10 years after the problem happened and they come, they've accepted that problem as their identity, as their limitation. Like someone who's fat doesn't necessarily think about going back to optimum weight. Someone with diabetes doesn't think about going back to diabetes free. They think about, how can I manage diabetes? And I've asked people this, haven't you heard that there are some people who have reversed diabetes? I have personally worked with people like that. Why doesn't it occur to you that you could at least try and attempt to reverse it? Same thing with thyroid, same thing with music. And I personally choose music as one of the things that I want to challenge, that anybody can do anything when they learn it properly, when they have the right...
You're the next A.R. Rahman from Chennai.
It's not my profession, Anurag, but I think universally, not just in India, people think anything is learnable, but if you don't have music knowledge, it's not learnable. In fact, in South India, they call it jnanam, which means wisdom. They equate your ability to understand swaras with how intelligent you are, and it's deep-rooted across cultures. That
across generations.
And
you're considered blessed if you can just sing.
So for me to say, when I say, hey, if one human being can do something, and John Grinder said that, and if one human being can do that, anybody can learn to do it. I couldn't find a better example other than music. I mean, if my teacher told me that, hey, it's a miracle if you sing one day, and the world thinks that it's not a gift that you can learn, and to me, it's wonderful. And also, personally for me, Anurag, music is about, for me, the first form of music is worship. And I remember when I was in the US, with all my pitch deafness and rhythm deafness, we were doing some activity in a group. And one of these, they asked me about a ritual that everybody does. And I sang this song to her. And she said, can you sing it again? I want to record it. And I was like confused. I'm like, wait, let me send you the link of the original singer. She said, no, I want your version. And she said, and I said, well, I sing it terribly. She said, but there is soul. And for me, if there is soul in what you do, and if technicalities, if improper techniques that you haven't learned is kind of marring the beauty of it, then why not put that effort and fix them so that when you sing, those who can see unpolished diamonds can also see the soul, but also polish them so that a more variety of people can see it. And for me, singing to God is a very personal thing. I do it when I'm alone, and I like to do it with my friends. And well, maybe I don't want them to have, to wear earbuds when I'm singing.
Yeah, please come, Jwalant ji. You want to take more questions? Ask questions.
Okay. Antano, this is something very interesting. I mean, there seems to be that we have a lot to catch up, isn't it? All right. Okay. Great. My question will go to Rachna. Rachna, you very nicely, and Junior as well, I mean, both of you can also put in some insight. There is some bit of I would say significance about how you eat. What you eat is equally important, and how you eat is also equally important, I guess. So I think, I mean, there has been some insight which probably you guys can share, because that also provides us a certain chemical and certain, I would say, energy patterns in the body for
So
emotional wellness.
mindfulness during eating, mindfulness during nutrition. For example, my dad, I was telling my dad, I'm almost 48. I was telling my dad, now I follow, I don't look at the phone when I'm eating. I'm fully in eating because I would read, and I eat a little slower than I used to. I try and do 32 pieces. So mindful eating, you end up eating less. I think that's what, Jalanji is asking.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll just say thank you. It's a very relevant question. Why should we eat calmly and thank the food and the higher power? Is because it reduces at a physical level, it reduces the acids in our stomach. When it's reducing the acids in our stomach, the natural probiotics which are going to help us absorb the food in our stomach are going to be higher. So absorption of nutrients is always higher when we are eating calmly rather than rushing, because any rushing is going to cause some amount of stress, which is going to raise inflammation and then malabsorption of nutrients in the body. So very, very well put, that what you eat, how you eat, it's the attitude with which you eat. Both are important.
Junior?
Yeah, I want to add to that. So I've also been reading a lot on Ayurveda, and Ayurveda has a lot of documentation on this. So, being appreciative of the food that you eat, same as being calm. And lately, I've also been doing, like, after eating, just lie down for 15 minutes and digest. Ideally, as per yoga, lie on your left side. But just, lying down after eating is something we would never do in the pre-lockdown life, but it's phenomenal. You feel so good, so calm, so relaxed. It's hard to come back to work sometimes. But yeah, I would say that, appreciation, and similar to that is the thought of gratefulness. Being grateful for what you have, you'll always have positive energy. So it ties into maybe what Antano says and what Swamiji says for meditation. I mean, all of this it's holistic, right? It all kind of ties back into the body being beyond its what we see physically.
Yeah, Junior, I'd just like to add one point to this. I did last November, I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training certification just to prove a point to myself. And what you referred to it, lying down on the left side was a practice we as teachers were taught. The energy of the body and mind needs to go to the digestive tract to work overtime to absorb the nutrients and help empower the immune system. So that 15 minutes is the most crucial for your immune system during these times when we have to protect it.
Jwalanji, there's
Yes.
Tanvi Ahuja. Tanvi is a colleague of ours. She's the head of marketing and alliances, and she is the project manager on all webinars. I like her in spite of her sharing a birthday with Donald Trump. She wants to ask a question. So, Tanvi, it's your first question on a BW webinar. Go ahead, ask it. We can have Tanvi on screen.
Hi, all the panelists. And like Anurag said, this is the first time I'm asking a question on a webinar, although I've hosted about 12, 13 now. The question is to all the panelists. So I had a brain stroke about 2.5 years back, and obviously the neurologist said that whatever.
Tanvi, I didn't even know this. Okay. We should do webinars more often.
So, as the neurologist said, that obviously whatever brain damage recovery has to happen will happen in about 2 years, and then whatever is left, you stay with it lifelong. Now I have made lifestyle changes like, doing a 30-minute walk a day, eating more raw, vegetables and fruits and stuff. I do look at the sun, do sun gazing for 20 minutes and do sun bathing for like 30 minutes twice a week. But since we have all the mindful gurus here on this webinar, as well as the nutrition experts, if you could tell me 5 things I should do on a daily basis for better brain health.
Listicle 5 things. This fixation with 5 things, 3 things, 2 things, 10 things.
I would just like to add, Tanvi, whatever you are doing is wonderful. Add 2 things. One is good unsaturated fat. It's very, very important for brain health, for creating, good bacteria is as much found in the brain as it is in the stomach, as in other parts of the body. It's a myth that good bacteria is only found in the stomach to absorb food. There have been cases where the same bacteria that was found in the stomach was also found in the brain or in other parts of the body. Good fat is extremely, extremely important to keep your brain calm and start regeneration of neurons in combination with the 30-minute moderate walk that you do. The second thing that will regenerate your neurons is what Swamiji talks about, meditation. Again, extremely, extremely important. So those are two. The other three can be.
Sure,
Back to you,
Swamiji,
Jwalant.
Antano, and Ira, would you like to add something on that from the mindfulness perspective?
Swamiji,
Yes, I would say unburden your brain. So
she has a
many.
boss like me. She's a
Mhm.
boss. I keep burdening her. Anybody who's good at work, they get more work than others.
The first thing is to give holiday to your brain once in a while, not stressing it, not asking any, not demanding anything, just giving a break so it can re-nourish itself.
So you
So
come to our
this,
retreats more.
yeah,
Yes.
it's like
In fact, Jwalanji, when things are better, I would encourage Tanvi to go to a retreat and possibly
Yes.
get your
yes,
and Swamiji's
Sure,
guidance.
sure, sure.
yes, when you are not doing anything, simply being watchful. Watchfulness is not the brain activity. Then brain cells get some rest because we are overtaxing our brain cells many times. So we need to give a break when we just sit and settle in our consciousness, then the brain gets break. And that is its nourishment. No burden of old memories, no hallucination, imagination going in the future. Only then brain is at rest.
Avinash, you want to add to this? Avinash Anand Singh?
Yeah. Tanvi, a couple of things. One is you can explore what Swamiji said right now. First is very important, unburden yourself. Second is there is a fabulous study on creative visualization. Right, it has been a great area of research. One quick study I'll highlight. In Harvard, they did a piano study. So they took a group of people, taught them how to play piano with 5 fingers. Right. So one group was
Right.
practicing playing every day for 5 weeks. Another group was taught how to play the piano, but they're only asked to play it mentally. Don't touch the piano physically. 5 weeks daily, 1 hour, mentally play the piano. At the end of
Okay.
5 weeks, they found both the groups had the same changes in the brain, the one who played the piano and one who imagined playing the piano. So
Okay.
the creative visualization is a very powerful method, but you cannot come into this practice through the space of anxiety, worry, and fear. You have to come back to consciousness, be in a state of joy, be in a state of calmness, and then you start practicing. Number one. Number two is, quick one is, you can explore the field of pranic healing. They have some tremendous energy modalities of healing. And I have seen some tremendous results from people around my life who have got very benefited. So you can possibly explore that as well.
Antano and Harini?
So this is kind of difficult to answer, Tanvi, because most of the times what I say and Harini say is very intuitive when we look at the person. Like the guy who had the sleep apnea, I have no idea how I knew it, but I knew it, and it's often the case. In fact, there was a girl who had depression, and I told her, "Hey, can you go check your vitamin levels?" And it was all way off. So I'm not even a nutritionist. So I think the key in my from the work I have done so far, the key to this is accurate diagnosis. Everything else will supplement, but we need to know what caused this in the first place. What is in movement? Like if somebody is hitting the building with a bulldozer, now you can add more cement, you can add more strengthening material, but we got to stop the bulldozer. And so for me to give you anything that is useful, I would actually need to see you in person. And I recommend excellence in technology specialists could do that for you too. They could see you and maybe understand what is happening over there. But if you are able to meditate, I don't know if you can or not, Tanvi, it's a good space from which you can attempt a diagnosis. Or maybe if you can go to sleep with it. So one of the things you can do to prime your mind is you can read a lot of stories of people who have had your condition, who have naturally reversed it. And don't read how they did it, just read the fact that they did it. And in a neuro-linguistic programming, you call them as metaphors. They act as seeds to prime your unconscious mind for a possibility, so that the visualization happens automatically when you sleep. One of the things that happens when you read stories of other people who have reversed your condition is you go to sleep, and sleep is one of the forms of natural meditation. And the brain engages in a visualization where it is actually working towards that possibility. So prime yourself with those stories. And if you want to diagnose it from a state where, like a yoga nidra, where you're absolutely in NLP, we call it a know-nothing state, where you're in a state of mind where in high performance, I've put helmets on people's head and seen that, there's a beautiful configuration in the brain that happens when that happens. And from that state, when you're diagnosed, because when I diagnose people, I'm in a trance. My eyes are open, but I'm way deep in meditation, like I'm sleeping, and there's an intuition and experiences that connect, and then something comes out. So if you want to self-diagnose, I would recommend do it when, like, if you want to find out what's the bulldozer, do it from that kind of a state of mind. But I think you want to prime your unconscious as well. Read a lot of stories, not on how they did it, but on the fact that they reversed.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so
and
much.
Jwalant, my colleague Kavi is here, and I want to let Kavi ask a question. Mr. Bhandari,
yes,
go ahead, ask a question if you have a question. And
thank you, sir.
To someone. Yeah.
Sir, my question is to Mr. Avinash. Avinash, sir, you spoke about the subconscious mind, but like the rewiring of the subconscious mind. But I wanted to ask you, sir, that the subconscious mind is extremely powerful. Like, some people believe that our past life impressions are in the subconscious, our memories of our entire life are stored in the subconscious. So how do we rewire it so easily, sir? Something so complex.
Kavi, a great question. Now, what you say is right. A lot of past tendencies, what we call as sanskaras and past memories, all stays in subconscious. But the point is, these are only circumstances. When you have a memory coming up, it's only a past event which you're storing inside. As a consciousness, you have the ability to choose your responses to this event, right? Just because you have a past memory and it comes up, you may not react basis on that memory. Moment you try to create a distance and observe, okay, this is a tendency I'm having right now. Now, what choices I have right now to choose to either respond or react? That's one thing. Now, that's one of the things we have to carry out. Number two is, now, obviously, now it goes a bit of in the spiritual side. But again, when you're living this life, you also get to have a free will. When you are born here, it's not that your entire mind is clouded by the past, right? You also get to have a conscious mind, which is again a mind which is completely clean slate. And as you live this life, you start conditioning that mind. So there is a percentage of mind which is open for programming. Obviously, you're not going to the roots of subconscious, unconscious, and the chakral subconscious, cellular subconscious. But yes, there is a part of mind which is available for you to program. And for that, if you do it correctly, properly, a lot of things can be changed here. So the idea is the past may show up, but you're not the past. You have a choice to make right now. If I have an anxiety attack, do I really go into that attack, anxiety, feeling that anxiety? Or do I take a pause and possibly reflect at a detached awareness and then resolve it possibly, right? So, yep, many things can be done on the same.
And
thank
Harini,
you, sir.
Do you want to add? Harini, we haven't had enough of you, so if you can add to this.
I'm going to pass this on to Antano.
Okay.
Conscious, because I've always had him, seen him have a very specific.
Yeah, she does a demonstration, so I do the talking. Just joking. She once invited Sun TV online, and she said, who has had bad memories over here and fears? I can erase it and get rid of it in 30 minutes. And she actually did it live in front of a news channel with 3 people with whom she's never worked before. And the key to that is to understand that I mean, in fact, we work with people who've been abused, raped, and beaten up, lost a soldier with a gunshot in the battlefield. And there is technology out there to time compress, to actually take a memory and do with it what would happen after 10, 20 years. And it's available for free. And the procedure in NLP is called fast phobia cure. I have personally witnessed thousands of people overcome a phobia, I've seen people who are abused, who've been raped like 30, 40 times by their relatives. And, when they look at a man, they start shivering. That's how deeply that memory has affected them. And I've seen that, get reorganized in like an hour, in two. And it's, the only thing I can say is, I mean, there's an institute in America that does phobia cure, and they're known to be like the best in the world, and they take 1 year to do it. And there's a 40% success rate. But I have personally seen that with the fast phobia cure, thousands of people, not more than 1 hour. So there's a technology out there, there's a how. So we can go beyond, it being an aspiration and philosophy to it being science and technology. And an interested viewer can actually go and learn fast phobia cure from YouTube. It doesn't have to be my video. It can be anybody who's demonstrated a consistent transformation using that procedure. And that procedure can help you reorganize your memories. And I've always said this, when people go through a bad incident and anxiety or, being robbed, they overlearn. They learn unusefully. Like a man meets with an accident, sees a dog far away. He starts fearing the dog wherever he is. It's what we call as a generalization. It's learning something that's not useful. And people do that during intense emotional downs. And there is a way to reorganize that. So if you can do fast phobia cure and sleep well for the next 10 days, your brain will just reorganize everything. And there's a scientific method. There's a method that is again and again demonstrated it's possible. It's called a fast phobia cure. Check it out.
And
thanks.
The subconscious is powerful, Kavi. I mean, which is what you started with, is very powerful. But we have to remember the subconscious or the unconscious, whatever you want to call it, is not God. So a lot of times, a lot of people confuse the subconscious to be something that's so powerful. So you give it a command and it will just do whatever you want it to do. But that's not how it works. A phobia itself is a learned thing. We're not born with every phobia. Like, how is it that some people are afraid of heights? So how is it some people are afraid of insects or snakes or of dark rooms or even bad memories and things like that? They are learned behaviors. And but there is ways in which other people have gotten over it naturally. And I've known of neuro-linguistic programming to be, like specifically the founders of NLP, Dr. John Gruner and Richard Bandler, have studied people who have had a challenge and who've gotten over it naturally and figured out how do they do what they do, and applied that to people who couldn't get over it naturally, and tried and tested and finally stripped it of all of the rituals and brought it down to bare minimum process. And that's the process that's one of the many processes that they've come up with that Anand was talking about. But that's one part. The greater challenge is, you can't go around fixing everything and anything that you may consider a problem, because a lot of times people may misdiagnose. And that's where you need the right diagnosis. And that's the part primarily that we've tried to cover and, bring in the wisdom of accurate, comprehensive diagnosis, and then the right set of tools and techniques to fix the imbalance for good.
Because some of the past is very important. And it matters that we learn from it. Like sometimes when a mother hits a child, when the boy is young, the boy has a grudge. But after 20 years, the boy, if he can look back at that incident and think how much his mother loved him, then you can say he's an evolved person.
Thank you so much. I just want to announce at this point that we have a BW Wellbeing session on Friday. I do a conversation with Rageshwari Lumba. She's been an actress, an RJ, a singer, a VJ. She's now written a book on building a happy family, the 11 practices of mindful parenting. She joins us from London. It's on Friday, 15th May from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I would encourage all of you to join, and I'll leave it to Jwalant ji to close this session with some of the questions and whatever he wants to get everybody to make their closing remarks.
Okay.
Can we show that session? Can we show that session again and share a link with all our esteemed panelists and experts and with everyone who's joined in for the webinar? We've had 19 questions till now. So we'll just project Friday. That's me. And that's Rageshwari Lumba. If you had trouble spotting who's Rageshwari Lumba, that's why I made that specific intervention.
Okay.
Building a happy family. Back to you, Jwalant.
Okay. Great conversations we had and really enjoyed the discussions. And I would say from the bottom of my heart and that it was, thank you so very much. But we still have a couple of questions which are unanswered.
We can take them.
Yeah.
You can club them so that you can.
Yeah.
You know.
So in that case, the people are asking about how to remain constantly happy. Then there are certain question about how do we maintain the happiness mood when the situations are completely upside down. And then somebody says, what are the other options than kanji? And then somebody asks, and this is for Rachna actually, I've heard vitamin D as medicine for a longer time. Our body capacity to make vitamin D vanishes, okay? And so that is a question about how long can somebody take vitamin D. And this is Hina Gupta says, hello Ira, what about this 10-minute yoga and how much gap we should keep between food, water and yoga, okay? And then there is one from Rima Pava says that once I build up my mind, I'm strong-headed, but currently my morale is very low and unable to build up my mind, reduce my weight. I suffer from hypertension and diabetes. Ridhima Sharma says, can you provide some insights on achieving health? And so on and so forth. So if I put all together, I mean, you guys can take whichever that you want to.
So we can take one final comment. Swamiji wanted us to do a meditation. We can do that. So we can start with Antano, Harini, quick last comments, any question you want to answer, and then we can go around the house and get Swamiji to close it with some meditation.
Let me take it after a few other panelists.
We'll take it last.
Junior.
Yeah, very simple. You know, look, guys, I went through another recession before in 2008. I was in US at that time. And one of my good friends was in real estate, and it was the housing crisis. And every morning he would wake up just feeling like somebody had punched him. And that was in the bed. That's before getting out of bed. And it would get worse from that. And today, you know, I am in the food business that has collapsed. Somebody's in the housing business that has collapsed. Like every business has collapsed, but the people are still here. We are still here. So what I did that time was transcendental meditation. It worked very well for me. I would say, you know, start meditation of any kind that you can do. Pranayam, by the way, is excellent for strengthening your lungs. Strengthen your lungs, boost your immunity. There's a lot of stuff out there for that, and a lot of experts here. And take care of yourself. We will see through this. As Sadhguru once said, souls don't break, they bounce. You will bounce back from this. Nothing can break you. And just keep going forward. Take care of yourself.
COVID is a time for self-care.
Yeah. Yes, very much, very much.
Avinash?
Yeah, so yeah. So my last comment would be, I think it's time. We are in the greatest time of human history. There hasn't been a time when so much of scientific knowledge is available to us, so much of spiritual understanding is available to us. It's time for us to really start the journey of self-discovery. And it doesn't go back to the just building a habit, picking some knowledge, reading some books. It goes to the root that understand who you are, deep dive inside yourself to understand you are not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the thoughts and emotions, you are the consciousness. Until the point you don't go to the root of who you are, everything else will not suffice the purpose in totality. So I think it's time for us to really take this as a project, as a lifelong project, to start dwelling deep inside, because we live in an intelligent universe. The universe is intelligent. It is a all-pervasive intelligence. The moment you start asking those questions, you'll find the gate starts opening up. You'll find guidances, maybe a book, maybe some people will start showing up for you. So I think it's time for us to build a relationship with the infinite intelligence, the all-pervasive, the all life-giving intelligence, which sustains the body as well. And once we take a journey towards that direction, I think we are taken care of.
Rachna?
Yeah, so I would just say we are a subset of the earth. So when you look at a forest, the forest coexists with everything, and the survival of and circle of life continues. Similarly, inside the human mind and body, that is how holistic nutrition works with each other. It is only modern nutrition that came out and started this whole supplementation thing, and isolating a vitamin D and isolating a vitamin A, and then re-adding back whatever was lost. So there was also a question on vitamin D stops getting absorbed. The body knows it as a nutrient. If that nutrient is the body is nourished with that nutrient in smaller quantities, in balance throughout a period of time, your levels are going to be fine, and is going to help you build your immunity. So moderate balance, everything in moderation, whether it is exercise, food, 1/3 of your plate should be empty. Stop when you're 80% full, and empty your mind, like Swamiji said.
And Rachna also taught me one thing which I'm not doing right these days, is I'm doing lots of webinars. She told me 5 years back, sitting is the new smoking. Get up every 20 minutes, walk, Annurag, stretch yourself, just open up your arms, go and reach out for the thing. Don't ask your, domestic help to get it for you. Go and get that glass of water. Keep getting up. Sitting is not good for the spine for too long. This simple thing. Antano and Harini, and then we'll get Swamiji to have the last laugh.
Okay, so Harini was narrating the story, Anurag, about how I helped her overcome that thing about lyrics. And to me, when people ask me that question, I always tell them the important thing is not how I did it, it's why I did it. Because she was a colleague, I saw her, there are a million things, we can improve on, but why would I go after that specific outcome? And as Harini would say that, right after that, in her recording, music director started telling her that she's improving and her performance is at par, way better than what it was before. And she says that was because she could take her attention off the lyrics and focus on the essence of the song. And over the next 6 months, in every aspect of her life, she saw a difference. And all I did was help her with lyrics. Now, I call this ability as your ability to know what adjustments you make today and what consequences it will have in the future. Like when Rachna says, every time you get up, go and, don't ask your maid, but go and get the water yourself. It's a very small adjustment. But I'm pretty sure as an expert, she understands the consequences of that, and it's very profound. So I think, Steve Jobs once said that when he looked back at his life, he was able to connect the dots and understand why it happens. I'm proposing that what if we can develop a capability where we can fly into the future 10 years from now and look back at the present and figure out what and how should we do right now so that the future keeps evolving and changing. And I think the ability to predict the future and to know what shifts and adjustments and behavior and capability development you make now will impact that future differently is a very important thing that everybody needs to develop. Because, when people abuse their maids at home, they only see that they're getting the work done right now, but they don't see 5 years down the line that child is going to abuse them in the same tone. There are consequences. We are in a connected world. Everything is connected to everything else. And I think real wisdom is in knowing how small things have a big impact across time. And if we could develop a capability to predict and validate and continue getting better, I think we can design how we evolve. And that's the message I have for people.
Thank you so much. Swamiji, up, you have the last laugh, and we'll do anything you want us to do. If you want me to grow hair in the next 5 minutes, I'll try.
Now we will be, for 4 minutes, we will be doing Nischal Dhyan Yoga. Actually, it is for 40 minutes, but here I would do only for 4 minutes, just one dimension of Nischal Dhyan Yoga, which Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna. And it is our breath that is a bridge between our body and soul. So we close our eyes and connect with our breath. First, let the body become relaxed. Let it relax, loose and natural. Loose and natural. If head starts bending, let it bend. Bowing down, and with it, breath will also be relaxing. Feel that your consciousness is descending from your head, going towards your heart, and finally towards your navel center. Navel center is our main center. When we were in the mother's womb, when our mind was not working, heart was not working, we were getting prana by remaining in touch with the navel of the mother. That was our energy source, and that is our energy source. As we were connected with the navel of the mother, same way our navel center is connected with whole universe, the energy of the whole universe. To connect with the cosmic energy is not our mind, not our heart, but our navel center. So slip towards your navel center. Feel that your consciousness riding on the breath, coming towards your navel center. अपनी चेतना को नाभि केंद्र की ओर उतराने दें। नाभि ही जीवन का केंद्र है। सारी ऊर्जा अपने मस्तिष्क से नीचे उतराने दें, हृदय और उसके बाद नाभि में। Being centered around your navel center is the most relaxing experience you already had when you were a child in mother's womb. And in meditation, we become children again. As Jesus says, you cannot enter into kingdom of my God if you are not child again. Only children can enter. So be a child again, as innocent as a child. बच्चा अपने माँ के गर्भ में जिस पोस्चर में होता है वो पोस्चर सबसे ज्यादा शांत और शिथिल होता है, आनंददायी होता है, कोई चिंता नहीं, कोई फिक्र नहीं। ऐसे ही जब हम सब चिंता छोड़ देते हैं तो हमें अस्तित्व से ऊर्जा मिलती है। Existence is our mother. And mother takes care. सांस बहुत शांत है, शरीर शिथिल है और आप अपने नाभि केंद्र पर, नाभि कमल पर विद्यमान है। झुक जाएं और इस पूरे अस्तित्व के प्रति अपना अनुग्रह, ग्रेटफुलनेस व्यक्त करें। Be grateful to this whole existence. We may deserve or not, but we are getting everything from the universal source. और अंतिम बात, जैसा कि हम भोजन की चर्चा कर रहे थे, उपनिषदों में एक वाक्य आता है, अन्नम ब्रह्म, food is divine. So when you go home, eat your food, feel that something divine is going within you and nourishing you. So be grateful, feel divine. That's the real mindfulness. What Buddha called Samyak Smriti, Samma Sati. Now take a deep breath and open your eyes.
Thank you, Swamiji, so much for this lovely experience, and I'm sure everybody has enjoyed this, and maybe we look forward to the next edition of this Wellbeing Summit on online, and till then, happy ho.
Happy ho.
Yes, and
Happy ho.
enjoy life.
Shukriya. My gratitude to everyone for this was the most peaceful, divine end to a webinar that I have done. So really grateful to you, Swamiji. Grateful to you, Jwalant.
I'm very delighted.
Grateful to all the participants, and wish you a fully abundant life and to happy hope.
Yeah, bye all, and very special bye to Antano and Harini. God bless you both, and let's meet in Delhi when you are next. God bless. Bye. Bye.